I'm Cape Joel, and this is Comic Smack, your weekly, daily, all the time, anytime comic book show where I give you your fix of everything you need to know from the world of comics and superheroes. And on today's show, we're taking a closer look at Dark Knight's Metal issue number 6. With Barbatos having plunged the planet Earth into the Dark Universe, the Justice League will need to come together if they ever hope to overpower him. What'll happen next? Well, let's hop on in together and find out. Alright, so this 6th issue is absolutely loaded to bursting with content, so let's not waste another second and get right to it. Barbatos is gloating after seemingly having defeated the entire Justice League, save for Wonder Woman and Hawkwoman, who valiantly fight on against the dark armies of the Dark Legion, but that's an endless fight because they just keep spawning like this was a video game. Now, after being basically dragged around as a MacGuffin for the entirety of this story, Plastic Man finally gets out of his egg form and tries to help turn the battle against the forces of evil. Turns out he's more than just a conductor of dark energies, he's actually a lot more powerful than anyone ever gave him credit for. Good job, Plastic Man. Now, with Batman and Superman still trapped at the World Forge and at the mercy of a possessed Hawkman, Wonder Woman and Hawkwoman pull together a crazy plan to try and get them back out. Basically, they use the Lasso of Truth as an amazing tether so that they can hop on into that universe, and Hawkwoman can try and get Hawkman back under control by reminding him of who he is. This ends up working, and we get giant-ass Hawkman versus giant-ass Barbatos in a huge kaiju battle for the rest of the issue. But wait, there's more. It's here they start paying off all the stuff from all the different tie-in issues. You see, Detective Chimp shows up in that multiversal shit, but he's not alone. He has a bunch of good Batman from throughout the multiverse. You got Russian Batman, you got Dark Knight Returns Batman, you got Vampire Batman. Wait, you could argue that those guys are good, but they're at least better than the Dark Knight's versions. Together, they all rush Barbatos, and for the first time in a long time, it actually looks like the bad guys might be able to win. The Trinity manages to restart the World Forge and help themselves to the super special awesome 10th metal. Or, as it's also known, Element X, aka that super cool stuff Jack Kirby came up with in the New Gods. Essentially, it's the bestest metal in the whole world that imbues its owner with the power of creation itself. The Trinity share it with the other Justice Leaguers. They get cool upgraded costumes, and with that they're actually able to take it to the Dark Knights and hurt them for the first time. With their backs utterly against the wall and Plan A failing, it's the Batman Who Laughs who decides to go about the very disturbing Plan B, and that is if they can't plunge the planet Earth into the Dark Universe, well, they'll just use the Overmonitor to destroy all matter in the universe so there'll be nothing left but darkness. Batman sheds his new Element X armor momentarily so he can descend into the darkness of this alternate Batcave and battle the Batman Who Laughs one-on-one. It's a very tough fight because, much like him, the Batman Who Laughs is always prepared, and he probably knows Bruce better than just about anyone else. If only the Dark Knight had a ringer on his side, someone utterly unpredictable, someone like, oh, I don't know, the Joker? Yeah, that's right, the Joker, the worst villain ever, figures, you know what, I might be a bad guy, but this is my Earth and I should probably defend it. Also, I'm not gonna let the Batman Who Laughs kills Batman, that's my job. So they totally tag team this dude. And speaking of super heroic tag teams, it's up top Hawkman and Hawkwoman are able to come together and finally defeat Barbatos once and for all, putting an end to the feud of the tribes of the Bird and the Bat. Now, just because the big bads are vanquished though, this doesn't mean our heroes can start patting each other on the back just yet. There's still the matter of the Earth sinking deeper and deeper into the Dark Universe. And even though the Justice League seemingly just got these new Element X 10th metal powers, they figured that if they can sacrifice their abilities, they'll be able to restore everything back to the way it was, and they totally do. Granted, as we discover, all that power being expelled at once has some rather unforeseen effects, like, oh, I don't know, breaking down the freaking source wall. Yes, they literally break the walls down like this is Jericho, but hey, that's the end of the story proper. From there, we move on into the epilogue. Batman throws a big fancy party at Wayne Manor for all the heroes. Everyone wears their Sunday best except for Hal Jordan, who demands to wear his bomber jacket because he's just that guy who would ruin all your wedding pictures because he wants to go casual. Batman talks about all the great work they've done as a team, but things are going to get a lot crazier now that the source wall has torn down. He feels that they're probably entering a brand new era, and a brand new era deserves a much bigger Justice League. Hawkwoman and Martian Manhunter are going to join right away, and Hawkman will join too once he gets out of a coma that he's in. Furthermore, it seems that in Hawkman's journal he wrote about a bunch of future visions he had while under Barbatos's control. Basically, he dreamed of solicitations for books that you can either read now or books that are coming out. Like, hey, what if the Dark Stars came back in Green Lantern? What if Atlantis wasn't underwater anymore? What if the Flashes fought each other? Hey, what if these events caused a bunch of new heroes to be born that were kind of like Marvel heroes? They would have their own imprint. You could go read that if you wanted. Also, we're gonna tease Imperiax and maybe some other big cosmic characters that you can read about in Justice League No Justice, also coming soon. And finally, as the comic winds down, Bruce says that if they're going to have a bigger team, they're going to need a bigger place to hold them all, and because of that, we see plans for a newly revamped Hall of Justice. Wicked. So that was Dark Knight's Metal number 6, everybody, and I would be lying if I said it didn't feel like they threw absolutely everything in the kitchen sink here in this final issue. In fact, there was probably about 3 issues worth of content in one comic. That's also a blessing and a curse, because it feels like a lot of really important stuff fell by the wayside. After all the build-up for these Dark Knights as these big, horrible destroyer villains, most of them got defeated off-panel. Barbatos's ultimate defeat was also a little anticlimactic. For all the build-up of him being this evil puppet master controlling Bruce Wayne's life from afar, Bruce Wayne didn't even fight him or defeat him in the end. It was the Hawk people. Yes, thematically that made sense for them as they'd been fighting him longer, but still. I did like them going for a feel-good ending where all the heroes come together and have a nice little party and get to reflect on how much they like each other, but that gets undercut a little bit by the fact that they also need to get you hyped for the next 5 or 6 storylines they got coming down the pipeline, so there really is no sense of finality. Ultimately, I did enjoy Dark Knight's Metal as a storyline, and I did enjoy issue number 6, but I thought it could have stuck the landing just a little bit better, which is why I can only really give it an 8 out of 10. Still, pretty good score to a pretty good story. So that was Dark Knight's Metal, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, be sure to take a closer look at some of these other videos I've been working on. Then you can follow me on Twitter and Facebook at CapeJoel, so you always know what I'm doing next. And hey, if you really like what I do and are feeling in a supportive mood, please check out my Patreon link down in the description. Patrons get exclusive access to videos and content before anyone else, and you can do so for as little as $1 a month. So until next time, everyone, this has been CapeJoel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all again later. Bye-bye.